Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisanihi yafqahu qawli. Welcome everyone. Barakallahu feekum. Nice and good to have you all over here. May Allah make this hour beneficial for all of us. Ameen. May Allah open our minds to this knowledge. Ameen. Okay, so Alhamdulillah, Sister Yasmin, see, she's here. I met in the masjid. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is when we're going to talk about the inner dimensions of fasting, the first thing we need to talk about is why. Why? Yeah. Why do we fast the month of Ramadan? This is a very important question. Why? It's about your intention, right? We need to think about our intentions. As you can see on your screen, I put it in the plural. Intentions, meaning we can have multiple intentions for fasting Ramadan. Actually, for any act of worship, we can have multiple intentions, and it's completely fine. Yeah, it's completely fine to have multiple intentions as long as they're in the correct order. Okay, as long as they're in the correct order, and secondly, as long as they're within the intentions which are acceptable in the Sharia of Allah. Yeah. So you can all tell me what is your intention for fasting Ramadan if you would like to share with me. So we can have a little bit of interaction via chat. Why are you planning bi'idhnillah to fast this Ramadan? What is your niyyah? Anybody wants to say something to get closer to Allah? Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. To purify says yes. So excellent. You're reaching closer to Allah. Yeah. Fantastic. To thank Allah for everything. Yes. Get as much good deeds as possible. Yes. Yes. To please Allah. Yes. To reset my low iman. Yes. Barakallahu feekum. Wonderful answers. See, you can have one of the 5 pillars of iman. Yes. To obey Allah. Yes. To seek His pleasure, grow in the deen, be connected to other Muslims. Wonderful. Barakallahu feekum. So, Fard of Islam. Fantastic. All of you are absolutely correct. Yeah. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. So I mentioned just a couple in my slide. Yeah. Obedience to our Creator, number 1. He said so I shall do it. Whether I know anything else or not, this has to be the first reason. Yeah. Whether I have other intentions or not, first primary thing is obedience. My Lord has told me, you are going to fast Ramadan. I'm going to fast Ramadan. And yes, it's one of the pillars of our Islam. My Islam is not complete unless I'm fasting Ramadan. And number 3 is actually all the other answers kind of you all gave, which you can summarize is to attain taqwa. Yeah. To attain taqwa. And why do we say attaining taqwa is one of the intentions for Ramadan? Because that is what the Quran says. Yeah. And we're going to talk about taqwa, yeah, so that you'll get an understanding why all your answers are connected to taqwa. Yeah. So we're going to kind of little bit focus on taqwa before we're going to talk about anything else. Because Allah says, فَأَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Oh, you who have believed, fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may attain taqwa. You may attain taqwa. You may become muttaqun. Different translations now you'll have of the word taqwa. Yeah. Why? Because it's a comprehensive word. And this is why we have to talk about it. Because after obedience of Allah, wanting the pleasure of Allah, Allah tells us in the Quran one of the reasons why He's prescribed Ramadan for us. Yeah. So this has to be one of our goals. right? Which is taqwa. Okay, so what does taqwa really mean? We look at the root word. Yeah. So taqwa, the root word, waw, qaf, ya. Look, it has all these meanings. To guard, to protect, to shield. So what am I doing when I have taqwa? I'm guarding myself, I'm protecting myself from the punishment of Allah. Okay. So the first is the root letters meaning, to guard, to protect, to shield. And in the Sharia, the legal meaning of taqwa in the Quran and Sunnah means you guard yourself from the punishment of Allah. Yeah. How? How do I guard myself from the punishment of Allah? You need to do two things. Number one, I need to do what He wants me to do. And number two, I need to stay away from things He doesn't want me to do. So it's actually two things. So if you understand this is what taqwa means, I need to fulfill the commandments and stay away from the prohibitions, it means I am being very mindful of my actions. And so therefore, our scholars have described, based on a statement of Umar bin Khattab, it's like you're walking through a thorny path. Yeah. So imagine you're walking through this path and it's very small and it's got thorns on both sides. How are you going to walk? You're going to be very, very careful because you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to damage yourself or your garments with the thorns. So you're very, very careful. So all these meanings are over there. You're protecting yourself. You're guarding yourself. Why? Because of your awareness of Allah, awareness of His observance. Allah is watching me. So I need to be really, really careful. I better do what He wants me to do, and I better not do what He doesn't want me to do. So therefore, you will see all types of translations, and they're all correct. Yeah, inshallah, they're all correct. Some will say taqwa will be translated in English as fear of Allah, which is fine, which is correct because you are fearing what? You're fearing His anger. You're fearing His punishment. Yeah. So therefore, you will be careful. You're being mindful. Yeah. Mindful of what? Of Allah, that He is watching me. So you will, some translations, I think Mustafa Khattab goes with the translation of something like mindful. Yeah. So all these meanings are correct. It's a very comprehensive word and a very important concept for us to understand before we even start Ramadan, because this is what I need to increase in this Ramadan. How am I going to do it unless I really have a really good understanding of this concept, right? And then how do I go about even getting it? So these are some of the things, inshallah, we're going to try, bi-idhnillah, with the help of Allah, try and understand today. Okay, so that's the first point. What is taqwa? And I kind of give you a just explanation. Was it clear to you all? There's no taqwa in the word. No, there isn't. Yeah, the root word is waw, qaf, and ya. It has a meaning of connotation. You'll see even du'as in the Sunnah, which have this use the same word in terms of protection. I can't think of a dua right now. Maybe somebody can share. No, I'm going blank. No problem. Okay, what else? So yeah, next slide. I think we'll move on. So this is one of the goals of Ramadan. Yeah, I need to increase in taqwa. Now, why is taqwa so important? So we're going to talk about some of the virtues of taqwa. Why does Allah want us to increase in taqwa? Here are the virtues. Number one of the first things Allah mentions in the Quran after Surah Al-Fatiha, you open up Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 2 only. So very soon after Surah Al-Fatiha, Allah tells us, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. This is the book about which there's no doubt, a guidance for people of taqwa, muttaqeen. Meaning, if I want guidance, I need to have this taqwa. If I want to live in this life upon Sirat al-Mustaqim, I need taqwa. Yeah. So clear link between taqwa and hidayah is established right in the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah. Yeah. So ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Okay, does this mean hidayah, this book, is not guidance for people who don't have taqwa? Actually, no. The Quran is for everyone. It's an invitation to everyone, to the sinner, to the obedient, to the believer, to the non-believer, right? Even to the tyrants of this world, it's an invitation. Stop what you're doing, come back here. Come back here and connect to this book and receive guidance. But what this ayah means is, our scholars have explained, is the more you will increase in taqwa, the more guidance you will get. Meaning two things. Guidance is a spectrum, meaning there's no end to it. You keep increasing in it. And taqwa is also a spectrum. So you can be at 1%, you can be at 0.5%, but you can increase in it. Yeah. Okay, so we can see a direct link between taqwa and hidayah. Clear? I'm going to move on. That is added on grammatically, exactly. Second person, plural, wow, noon, plural. Anyway, look at this virtue. Allah mentions Surah Talaq. Inshallah, this is coming up in Daily Quran. I think we'll be doing this on Saturday. Yeah. So if you want to understand this concept, which is being mentioned over here on the slide, we will talk about this ayah in detail on Saturday, inshallah, in Daily Quran. Allah tells us very clearly in this ayah, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. And whoever has this taqwa of Allah, يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ, taqwa of Allah, mindful of Allah, يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. He will make a way out for them. Him, actually. Why is it them over here? This ayah is called the ayah of relief. Yeah. Any problem you have, it is your taqwa which is going to be the means of you getting out of that problem. Allah, this is a promise. Allah will make a way out for you. Why? Because of your taqwa. Who doesn't have problems? Right? All have problems. How am I going to get out of it? It looks like I'm stuck. Allah gives you a promise in this ayah. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. So you see how much we need taqwa? I need taqwa for hidayah. I need taqwa to get out of my problems. For Allah to make a way out, yani ki you feel stuck. You can't see a way out, and Allah is going to create a way for you. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. And also, same surah, ayah number 4. Here's another promise of Allah if you have taqwa. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ يُسْرًا. And whoever is mindful of Allah, has taqwa of Allah, He will make the matters easy for them. You don't want your matters to become easy, right? Everybody wants ease in their affairs. Wow. So you see how much we need taqwa in life? Yeah. So this is why Ramadan is coming and Allah is saying, this is your chance. This is your chance to increase in taqwa. Okay, I don't have any taqwa, no problem. This is your chance to gain taqwa. So don't let this Ramadan come and go and you not being mindful of what you're doing. Then, وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. The ultimate outcome belongs only to the muttaqeen. Meaning success. Jannah. Success in dunya, success in akhirah. Both, the ultimate outcome, the final outcome, the final victory belongs only, subhanAllah, to the people of taqwa. So we can see how critical it is for us to be working in our lives to increase. And what else? Finally, the most ultimate goal. Yeah? What can be the most ultimate goal in your life? The most sublime goal in your existence. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Indeed, Allah loves the muttaqeen. Don't we want the love of Allah? Of course we want the love of Allah. Right? So taqwa is your means. So now can you see how your answers, they all connect to taqwa? And the critical need for us to understand this concept so that we can, bi'idhnillah, hope to increase in taqwa this Ramadan. We ask Allah to help us. So therefore, after mentioning some of the virtues, okay, these are not all the virtues of fasting, Ramadan and taqwa, okay? I just mentioned a few to you. We can have a whole series of lectures on taqwa only. But anyway, we'll move on. Yeah, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who have been believed, fasting has been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may achieve taqwa. You may become muttaqun. Okay, but how is now Okay, so I understand what is taqwa now. And now I also understand, oh, I really, really need it. I've been really ignoring this concept. So I need to pay attention. And okay, Ramadan is coming up, so this is an opportunity for me to fix this issue for myself. But the question is how? How am I going to do this? All right. So first point you need to understand is that Allah has made it easy for you in Ramadan to increase in taqwa. That's the first point you need to understand. Yes, it's possible to increase in taqwa all year round, but especially in Ramadan, I need to understand that He's made it easy for us. But of course, again, it'll depend on whether you are thinking about what you're doing or not. Yeah, because otherwise, Ramadan comes, Ramadan goes, same, I haven't changed, right? So, need to understand. So, what else? So, therefore, now we're going to talk about some of the virtues of Ramadan. What are some special things which are going to happen in Ramadan for to make it easier for us to achieve our goals this Ramadan? So, Subhanallah, before we begin, we need to ponder over the fact that when Allah asks you to do something, He even helps you. He doesn't leave you alone. He even helps you along this journey. But the help of Allah will depend on how your relationship is with Him, especially in terms of tawakkul, how much you're depending on Him, and how much you know your knowledge also counts, right? You know that I cannot do this unless Allah helps me. Okay, so the more you're aware of yourself, the more you're aware of Allah and your need of Allah, the more inshallah bi'idhnillah you'll be able to benefit from the month of Ramadan. And but why are we having the class now? Like it's like a week before, so we start thinking about it now and making the appropriate du'as from now. May Allah help us. Okay, so subhanallah, this month is so special. All these things are going to happen. Number one, the Prophet ﷺ said when the month of Ramadan begins, the gates of heaven are opened up and the gates of hellfire are closed and the devils are chained. Yeah, so we've all heard of this hadith, I'm sure. Yeah, we've all heard of this hadith before, but did we ever ponder over this hadith? What does it mean? This hadith clearly means they're going to physical changes are going to occur in the creation. Physical things are going to happen in creation. Number one, the gates of Jannah are going to be opened up. The gates of hellfire are literally going to be closed. And the shayateen, and our scholars have said this means the really rebellious shayateen, and not all of them, but the really bad ones, they are literally going to be chained up. Why? All to make it easy for you to attain your goals this Ramadan. And this is why, subhanallah, you might everybody, I think everybody experiences the blessings because these are intangible blessings, right? But they can't explain it, but they just say, oh, it's such a blessed time. But why is it such a blessed time? These are some of the reasons mentioned in this hadith. These are not all the reasons. These are some of the reasons that we are sharing today. Can't go into too much detail. And by the way, I still haven't gotten to the statements of Imam Al Ghazali. Okay, that's coming up. So the month of Ramadan has come, a blessed month in which Allah Almighty has obligated you to fast. In it, the gates of heaven, this is another hadith, okay, in Ahmad. In it, the gates of heavens are open, and in it, the gates of hellfire are closed. And in it, the devils are chained, and in it is a night that is better than 1,000 months. So whoever is deprived of its good is truly deprived. Yeah, meaning blessings are going to be coming at you from all directions, day and night. Yeah, all these different blessings are going to be coming at you. And if you cannot take advantage of them, may Allah not make us of them. I mean, right? The Prophet said he is truly deprived. And you had this fantastic opportunity and you came out of Ramadan the same, right? Truly deprived. We don't want to be of them. May Allah protect us and guide us and help us. Okay. So you can put any questions you have in the chat and I'll have a look at it. Okay, sharing another hadith which is very similar, but it's giving us more information about something else which also happens in Ramadan. Uh, Begins the same way: the gates of paradise open, and none of its gates are closed. And a heavenly caller announces, "O seeker of good, come near. O seeker of evil, stop short." Allah will save them from the hellfire, and that is during every night of Ramadan. So you have this caller he's making this announcement. Yeah. So this is another something which is literally going to happen in Ramadan. He's going to make this call. So it's like encouragement for people to do good and easier for people to leave evil. So what did we say? What is taqwa? You're doing what Allah wants you to do, and you're staying away from things Allah doesn't want you to do. So Allah will change this Ramadan from the first of Ramadan, which starts at Maghrib time. Yeah. All these things are literally going to happen, all to make it easier for you to do what He wants you to do and to stay away from what He doesn't want you to do. Get it? Clear, inshallah? So he's going to help you on this journey. So depending on your niyyah, actually I should have used the word niyyah earlier. It all depends on your intention, how you approach this Ramadan. The purer your niyyah is, ya Ramadan, I want to try my hardest this Ramadan to fix myself, to fix my relationship with you, and achieve this goal of taqwa. So help me. You think Allah will not help you if you have this kind of a niyyah? Of course, He will help you. Guaranteed help. Yeah. But you have to focus. You have to focus on what you need to be doing. Therefore, the inner dimensions. So the Sheikh says, not Imam Al Ghazaali. This is the scholar who I took the notes from. The heavens and the earth go through changes, different kinds of changes occur. These are all gifts from Allah Al Kareem. Why? As I mentioned already, to make worship easy for us. To make worship easy for us. And so if we miss this opportunity, the hadith comes to mind, thus whoever is deprived of its good is truly deprived. So fasting in Ramadan is the training ground for taqwa. Yeah. And by the end of the month, if you went through the month understanding some of these realities and implementing what they entail, inshallah, you should come out on the other side with a higher level of taqwa than you went in. Yeah. So therefore, we want to do what? Make the most of this opportunity for spiritual growth. You can call it taqwa, you can call it getting closer to Allah. Yeah. Means the same thing. Spiritual growth. So, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, 1st of Shawwal, you're a different person. You're not going to go back to your old ways. There is some change in you. And then you will not be from the people who've been deprived. So we don't want to spoil our fast physically. Yeah, this is the thing we all focus on. Make sure the time of suhoor I need to know, time of iftar I need to know. Does this nullify my fast? Does this have any effect? This is good. We need to have this knowledge, right? But you can't ignore your spiritual fast either, because you're doing both. You're having a physical fast and a spiritual fast. And this is when we'll come to Imam Al Ghazaali statement on his commentary on the 3 levels of fasting. Yeah. So yes, we want to fast physically, but we also want to fast spiritually. So this is why we need to talk about the heart, because we need to fast with our hearts. Let's see your chat. How do we get to taqwa? Is when Prophet Ibrahim alayhi went to sacrifice his son for the sake of Allah. How do we get to that level? See, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum, and it's all about you on your journey to Allah, and you keep increasing yourself. Yeah, you are striving to improve yourself, striving to increase yourself in iman, in taqwa. So it's a journey, and it's a step-by-step process. You can't jump from level 1 to level 50, can you? You have to go through it step by step. And that's the whole point. Yeah, that's the whole point of the journey is to keep moving. That's the point. You are moving, and you're moving in the right direction. You don't want to stop. Because if you stop, right, what's going to happen is you're in great danger of moving backwards. So it's all about you striving, and it's not about you. Yes, we look at the stories of the Ambiya to inspire us for sure, but the whole thing is your journey is unique, and nobody else will have the journey you are on. Yeah, it's a one-to-one relationship, you and Allah. Yeah, we'll talk about this more, inshallah. So we need to think about our heart. We need to think about our heart. Why? Because here's another hadith which warns us about not being mindful. Prophet ﷺ said, one might fast and he gets nothing out of his fast but hunger. One might pray at night, but he gets nothing from his prayer but fatigue, meaning sleepless night. Ibn Majah, right? So some scholars understood this hadith to mean because of their lack of niyyah. But it could be also other things which spoil a person's fast. And at the end of the day, he gets zero. Yeah. Meaning, okay, so he was physically stopping himself from eating and drinking and sexual contact, but there are other things also required. Yeah. Which spoiled his fast. And possibly he could like get nothing out of it, zero. And that could be also, of course, primary reason is lack of ikhlas. Robotically doing it, not thinking, why am I doing it? Okay, is this clear? Because we're trying to move on. So how does fasting Ramadan have to is connected to niyyah? Because as scholars say, fasting is also the training ground, yes, number one for taqwa, but number two also for your niyyah. Purification and purity in your niyyah, meaning ikhlas, sincerity. Yeah. So we have this hadith over here. Allah Almighty said, this is Hadith Qudsi mentioned in Bukhari, He abandons his food and drink and desires for my sake. Fasting is for me and I will reward it. Yeah, because fasting is a secret worship. Nobody can really see you are doing it. Can they? Nobody can see you're doing it. So it's your secret act of worship, and therefore the ikhlas aspect is over there. Nobody knows you're fasting and you're preventing yourself. Food is right there, water is right there, and it's really, really hot, and you could easily drink, but you don't. Yeah? Why? Because you're doing it for Allah and you know Allah is watching you. So you're only doing it for Allah. If you are doing it for somebody else, you can hide and drink and eat and drink, right? But you don't. So what is this? Ikhlas. Only for Allah. And therefore the reward is huge. Because of your ikhlas, fasting is for me and I will reward it. Allah doesn't tell us how much reward. Yeah, the quantity is not given anywhere in the hadith literature. It's a hidden reward, meaning it's going to be huge because of the ikhlas. So fasting, as scholars say, is a demonstration of ikhlas, sincerity towards Him, as it is a secret between a person and his Lord, which no one can see except Allah. So fasting is also a training ground for ikhlas. Yeah. Training ground. If I can hide this, why am I not hiding other acts of worship? Yeah. And therefore the reward. Every deed of the son of Adam will be multiplied between 10 and 700 times. Allah may He be glorified and exalted said, except fasting. It is for me and I shall reward for it, and he gives up his desires and his food for my sake. Yeah, so similar hadith to last one. So the implication of this hadith is that the reward is going to be more than 700 times. Imagine for one fast. Yeah. And why? Because of your ikhlas. You're doing it only for Him. Nobody is forcing you. Just for Allah, you will not eat and drink between suhoor and iftar. And then there's this hadith. People might have heard of it, where the Prophet ﷺ said, verily the smell of the mouth of a fasting person is better to Allah than the smell of musk. Yeah. Allah loves your breath when you're fasting. Breath is not smelling particularly good. Yeah. But Allah loves it. According to this hadith. Why? Number one, because you're doing it for him. Yeah, you're fasting for him. And secondly, he knows what you're going through. It's not easy to fast. It's difficult. Yeah. So he knows what you're going through and you're doing it just for him. And therefore, subhanAllah, he even it loves your breath. And based on this hadith, some of our scholars have even said that it's makruh to brush your teeth while you're fasting. Yeah, so that's like a fiqh ruling. I'm sure there are other rulings by other ulama, but this is one of the rulings some of our ulama mention. And then some others say, okay, if you need to brush your teeth, then do it before dhuhr. Anyway, there are other fiqh rulings, and you can research that on your own. Also, there's a connection between fasting and sabr. Yeah, I think this is quite clear as well. You cannot fast unless you have sabr, isn't it? So 30 days of fasting is a fantastic opportunity for you to train yourself in sabr. And this is why, well, no, that's not why. Thing is, I have a hadith over here on the screen for you. Fasting is half of patience. So the Prophet ﷺ himself connected the concept of sabr with fasting. Yeah, he said it's half of patience. Now, we have a hadith like this, half of this, half of that. It doesn't literally mean half. Yeah, cleanliness is half of iman. Doesn't mean, okay, if I'm super clean, that's half of my iman. Now I just need to do half of something else. Right? That's not what it means. It's an expression to let you know the importance of something. Yeah. So the importance of cleanliness in our deen, and the fact that there's this connection between fasting and patience, according to this hadith. Yeah. Fasting is half of patience. Sabr. Okay. And therefore, there's also a connection between the reward of fasting and the reward of sabr. For example, I don't have it. That's in Surah Zumar. But also this ayah in Surah Sajda, the saying of Allah, فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِي لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. No soul knows what is kept hidden for them of joy as a reward for what they used to do. So this, according to some ulama, is about fasting. Okay? About fasting, and because of the sabr that it involves. Now we come to Imam Al Ghazali's statement. Now, if you go to Imam Al Ghazali's book on the inner dimensions of worship, this is not, I haven't copy pasted from there. Okay, I've reworded it quite generously. Okay, in order for it to make sense to you and me. Okay, because sometimes translations can be a bit heavy. Okay. So anyway, so after reading this, inshallah, and if you go back to his book, inshallah, it'll help you understand. And besides, I did this chapter with a sheikh. So this is where I get the meanings from. It's not me on my own. So subhanallah, look what Sheikh Ghazali said, Imam Al Ghazali, father. He said, and we thank Allah for teaching us that the pathway of shaitan to the heart are the hidden and settled desires. And through the control and discipline of our desires, our nafs becomes tranquil and settled, and it becomes formidable and strong in destroying its enemies, adversaries. Yeah. And then he says, so I hope this is clear. What what Imam Ghazali is talking about is that shaitan, he uses your desires as a means of getting into you and corrupting your heart. Okay, it's one of his doorways. It's one of his pathways. So Imam Al Ghazali is thanking Allah over here. He's saying, we thank Allah for teaching us that the pathway of shaitan to the heart are the hidden and settled desires. Is this the only pathway that he uses? No. He also uses the pathway of doubts in order to get inside your head. Okay? But this, because we're talking about fasting, right, is the means of, subhanAllah, developing control over our nafs, control over our desires. By fasting Ramadan for 30 days. 30 days, you will bring this huge amount of sabr. So, bi'idhnillah, it is training ground for controlling your desires, for which you need a lot of sabr. Yeah. But don't forget, Allah is helping you with the blessings of this month. So, you're not doing it alone. You're not alone. So, you can achieve some of these amazing goals this Ramadan. And then he says, and I'm going to come back to this point if we have the time. He talks about hunger. Yeah. So the connection with Ramadan. He says, hunger is one of the essential pathways of diminishing the influence of shaitan in your life. Okay. Meaning being hungry is good for you. Did you ever think about this? Being hungry is good for you because what you're doing is you're diminishing his influence on you. Meaning filling yourself with food, you're giving him control. Him meaning shaitan, his influence on you. There's a direct connection between what you're eating, how much you're eating, and shaitan's influence in your life. Now I'll repeat the statement. Hunger is one of the essential pathways of diminishing the influence of shaitan in your life. So Alhamdulillah for Ramadan, isn't it? You get this opportunity of not eating the whole day, and this is why you are behaving differently. And actually can even be behaving in a bad way if you're not thinking about these things. Right? May Allah help us. But the point is, because of the blessings of this month, you can potentially have a very spiritual Ramadan. And understanding the, subhanallah, the benefit of being hungry. May Allah guide us. And diminishing the influence of the nafs in your life, because the nafs keeps saying, oh, let's do this, let's do that. No. Whenever you feel the pangs of hunger, know that there is a spiritual reality ensuing within you. We should memorize this. Yani ke, when you're keeping yourself hungry, you are actually growing spiritually. Meaning, opposite happens if you do the opposite. If you stuff yourself, you're destroying your, well, I shouldn't use the word destroy, you'll get upset. You're negatively affecting your spiritual state. Okay? It's having an effect on your heart. There's no doubt about it. Okay? So, coming back to the positive statement of Imam Al Ghazaali, he says, whenever you feel the pangs of hunger, you need to know that there is a spiritual reality ensuing within you. Your soul strengthens and grows and elevates when you control your desires. Hunger is desire or not a desire? Of course, it's a desire. Yeah. Imam Al Ghazali said that it's because the fast is withholding. Yeah, nobody can see what you're doing. It's an action of you stopping yourself. So nobody can see it. So he says, because the fast is withholding and leaving, and it is in essence, there's no action that can be seen. All the acts of worship can be seen by people, but the fast is hidden. Only Allah knows. Only Allah sees it. It is a secret between you and Allah. And that is what makes it so special and so beautiful. It's an act of inward reality of pure patience. Okay, so this is summarizing the meanings of Imam Al Ghazali. Okay, so it's not a quotation. Overeating is physically harming our bodies too. Yes, for sure. But that is a different story altogether. Yeah, we are talking about the in any case, something actually happens to your soul when you keep it hungry. You're actually in growing. Isn't that amazing? So eating your favorite food is good or no? No, of course it's fine. If it's halal, it's halal. We cannot say something halal is haram. But the point is, what did the Prophet saying about eating food? How much are we supposed to eat? 1/3 food, 1/3 water, 1/3 empty. This is the problem. But we have become so corrupt. Maybe I shouldn't use that word. Don't get upset with me, okay? But okay, we've become so off track. We can't bear pangs of hunger. As soon as we feel little hungry, we run. Fridge, run, restaurant, call Uber Eats. I need to eat. Bhai, this is good for you. But anyway, can you see now Ramadan coming? Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We ask Allah to help us. So we change, right? For the sake of our spiritual hearts. Even your physical heart will benefit. But you have to be thinking. That's the whole point. The more you will think, the more you're mindful of Allah, the more you're relying upon Allah, the more you will be able to benefit this from this month, this special month of Ramadan. Okay, what else did he say? Imam Al Ghazaali, he said, fasting is a chance for us to lift the veils of dunya which cover our eyes. Yeah. We are so intoxicated with dunya that we don't see beyond what the eyes can see. This is not Imam Al Ghazali. This is the Sheikh. We are so intoxicated with dunya that we don't see what the eyes can see. And this will happen if you're eating too much. Yeah. And shaitan influencing you, shaitan basically controlling you and directing you. Think about this. I need to think about this. No, think about that. Okay, think about that. You see, this is how he controls us. He whispers to us, don't think about that. Think about this. He controls you by whispering. And what do? We don't have the ability to ward him off. Why? Because we've given him power over us. How? Imam Al Ghazali says, by eating too much. So we need to believe in Allah then more than what our eyes can see. And this can only occur by controlling our own nafs. So Ramadan is the chance for us to control our lowly desires. Yeah. It is a fantastic chance for us to control our lowly desires, bi-idnillah, if Allah grants us tawfiq. So you see this kind of process is happening inside us, which we cannot see. So all these concepts, they are internal, inner dimensions. This is my diagram. Please don't think that some sheikh made this. Okay. This is me just making a little diagram for you all to show you the connection between sabr. Yeah. If I'm going to fast, what do I need? Sabr. So I'm going to increase in sabr every time I fast, right? And every time I'm doing sabr, what happens? This thing called takhliya is happening inside me. Purification. Purification of what? Filth, internal, intangible stuff which is inside myself. Yeah. And then after that is beautification, which our scholars call tahliya. I cannot beautify myself if I'm dirty. I need to first clean myself. Yeah. So in Ramadan, we're doing all of these things. You're fasting, you're doing sabr, you're doing tahliya, and you're purifying yourself and you're beautifying yourselves with doing acts of worship. Yeah. Okay, this was my attempt to explain these concepts. Anyway, so this is the point. You are going through this process every single day of Ramadan, through the process of takhliya, which is ridding yourself of all things which are reprehensible inwardly, and tahliya, which is beautifying throughout the month of Ramadan. And this is why you feel different at the end of Ramadan. Bi-idnillah. Ask Allah to help us. So there's so much reward. Why? Again, this is kind of recapping the previous points, because this is a secret between you and Allah. And number two, when you're fasting, what's happening is the inward reality is it's a type of overwhelming of the two enemies. Who are our two enemies? Shaitan and not the family, your nafs. These are your enemies. Yeah. So it's a type of overwhelming of the two enemies. So fasting, Imam Al Ghazali said, suffocates the pathways of shaitan and the lower nafs. So these two things are happening inside of you. So Ramadan is a manifestation of the rahmah of Allah. It's pure rahmah. He's giving us this opportunity to do all of these things, right? But what do we have to do? We have to make the niyyah that I want to implement some of these things. So number one, we have to recognize this, that it's rahmah of Allah. It's not about iftar parties. It's not about food. Yes, that is part of it, but it's not about it. It's not about I'm already planning Eid clothes. I'm already planning my Eid party. It's not about the Eid party. Yeah. It is Ramadan is a manifestation of the rahmah of Allah, and we need to make the most of it. Okay, now we're coming to the concept of the three levels of fasting as mentioned by Imam Al Ghazaali. Hopefully, after all those points, you will now understand the three levels. This is why I didn't mention the three levels first. I said I'll explain all those concepts and then we'll come to his what he said about the three levels of fasting. Are you all with me? Everyone's very quiet. You can give me feedback. I'll do better next time, inshallah. So, controlling our negative thoughts. Ooh, I like that. Maha, brilliant. Fantastic. Okay. So the three levels of fasting. So again, like we said, okay, how do we reach that level? There are levels in fasting. Three levels. Number one level, uh, mentioned by Imam Al Ghazaali, he called it the fast of the common people. Yeah, the general population. So everybody, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, may Allah grant the tawfiq to the Muslim Ummah. Majority of the Muslim Ummah fasts in Ramadan. Yeah, but they're fasting this type of Ramadan. But they're fasting this type of fast, rather. Yeah, which is of the common people, which I think is quite easy to understand. What they're doing is just physically fasting, not eating, drinking, sexual contact during the day between suhoor and iftar. Yeah. So that is the common people. Number two, okay, so you say, okay, I've been like this all my life. I need to do better. So then for the second level, which is what we should be striving to do, is he called it the fast of the elite, the khas, the special fast of the elite. Okay, where are my notes? Okay, so okay. I'm looking at my notes to remember what I'm going to say now. The fast of the elite is the one who's not just fasting in terms of the fiqhi aspects of, what will nullify my fast, I better stay away from that. Yeah, he also protects himself from sinning. Okay, he protects himself from sinning. Let me read from Imam Ghazali what he says over here. Sorry, I should have quoted him more. Oh, up till now, so you're all okay, no? Here we go. Right. So he says the fast of the common folk, the general people, is to refrain from food and drink and sexual desires. And this is the fasting of the body. Then the fast of the elite. He says this is the fast of the special. It is restraining the hearing, the sight, the tongue, the hand, the foot, and other physical faculties from committing sin. Yikes, my notes just glitched. La ilaha illallah. And then he goes into some detail, which I think I should share instead of just from my memory. Okay, actually, you'll have to forgive me over here. If this doesn't make sense to you, let me know. Because I'm not going to go in order. Because you need to understand the fast of the fast of the elite, and then the fast of the elite, and then we'll come back to the fast of the elite, if that makes any sense. Okay. Why? Inshallah, listen and hopefully it'll make some sense. So Imam Al Ghazali said after this, okay, so you've understood now. The fast of the elite is what? He is restraining. Yeah. So he's restraining, he's stopping. Just the way you stop yourself from eating and drinking, the fast of the elite is they stop their restrain, their hearing, their sight, their tongue, their hand, their feet, and other physical faculties from committing sin. Okay, this is what they do. This is where we need to be at this Ramadan. We should be striving to be from the second category. And even, why not, the fast of the elite of the elite. who are the elite of the elite. Imam Al Ghazaali said, fasting elite of the elite means fasting of the heart from unworthy concerns and worldly thoughts. You're controlling what you're thinking. Sins of the heart. This is what you're controlling. In total disregard of everything but Allah. Complete focus. Just thinking about Allah. And he said this kind of fast is broken by thinking of anything other than Allah. Okay. If you think about anything other than Allah, this fast is broken. Okay. Fasting of the elite of the elite. It is broken by thinking of worldly matters, except for those conducive to religious ends, since these constitute provision for the hereafter and are not of this lower world. Imagine if you made it your goal, Ya Rab, this Ramadan, I'm going to try 2 and 3. Right? 2 and 3, I'm going to try. Forget everything else. Forget dunya. Right? Okay, you don't have to quit. Okay. But the point is, you try within your capacity. Why not? Why not? My fast of the elite, the special of the special. Digital detox, how important, right? So now you'll see digital detox, she said, how number 2 and number 3 are connected. Because you'll be like, oh my gosh, how on earth can anybody do this? You need to be at number 2 in order to try number 3 now. Can't jump from number 1 to number 3. So there's this big connection between fasting of the elite and the elite of the elite. So you should have these goals. I'm going to try and even do 3 this Ramadan. It's all about your niyyah. Who said you're going to do it yourself? Right? Who is going to help you every single second? Allah. As long as you don't leave Allah, Allah will never leave you. Yeah. So I hope you people are not getting discouraged over here. I think these are wonderful concepts. And even don't get discouraged, please. Let me know if you say, Ambreen, this is so hard. You're putting us off. You must tell me if I'm putting you off, okay? So this is, yani ke Imam Al Ghazaali is saying, you're just thinking about Allah all day long or anything connected to the deen. That's all you're thinking about. Are you going to think about Eid clothes? Buy your Eid clothes tomorrow. Please don't waste your time this Ramadan. I beg you, don't waste your time. Whatever you can do now. Or better yet, don't buy new clothes. That's just my recommendation. I said, why don't you have enough clothes, my dear sisters? Anyway. So this is the special of the special, these people. So he says it's when one frees oneself from unworthy concerns and worldly thoughts, and he refrains from thinking of everything except Allah. May he be glorified and exalted. And this is an elevated state. What do? We ask Allah for tawfiq. Ya Rab, easy for you. Impossible for us. Easy for you. Help us. This is the key. Maybe elite of the elite are the ones that even are happy doing everything rather than just pushing and being exhausted. 100%. But if your heart and soul is into it, it becomes easy for you, isn't it? Right? If your heart, this all from Allah. All from Allah. Yeah? It can make it so easy for you. But the point is that thoda to effort lagana hoga na. Why should Jannah be for free? Why should Jannah be for free? Why should being elite of the elite be for free? Little bit effort though you'll have to put na. But the most important thing is, okay, first understand these concepts. We don't even know these concepts. How are we even going to even think about implementing it? Forget implementing them. We won't even think about implementing them. Right? So anyway, let's move on. Then what he said, then this is when the heart is fasting from the lowly pursuits and the worldly considerations. Is the focus going to be food if this is how you're thinking? You'll be thinking, yes, the food must be nutritious and it should be enough for my large family if I'm the one in charge of cooking. I can't ditch them. I have to feed them, right? But you will not obsess. I need so many dishes and it has to be so much food. And then all the whole family is obsessing about food. I say you can't change them, but the point is little change when it comes to cooking this Ramadan, inshallah. Okay. Can't see the text you're reading from because I am reading from my notes which are on my laptop. I'm so sorry. Okay. What I'm mentioning is not there on my on your screen. So you just have to listen to me. Where are we even? Levels of fasting. Okay, so this is a very high station, and we shouldn't despair at the thought of never reaching this level. Never ever despair. And why not? You see, you will not despair if you're relying on Allah. You will despair if you're relying on yourself because you, miskeen, you will not be able to do this unless Allah grants you tawfiq. But if you get, inspired by these concepts of Imam Al Ghazali, and then you say, no, this is going to be one of my goals this Ramadan. Oh, Allah help me. Oh, Allah help me because I cannot do it unless you help me. These are the type of du'as we need to start making now. I mean, so when Allah will see you expressing your poverty to Him, He will help you. Okay? And He will give you as much tawfiq as He wills. Okay? Based on His wisdom. But the reason why I'm mentioning this point is because at the end of the day, when you finish this Ramadan, provided you made these kind of du'as and provided you were depending on Allah, yeah, you were depending on Allah and you were striving for these sublime goals, clinging to Allah all the way, come Shawwal, whatever you're done, you will be happy and you will be grateful to Allah. Even if it's not exactly the way it went exactly the way you wanted it to go, it won't matter. Yeah, you will be grateful. Oh Allah, you granted me this tawfiq, and this Ramadan was so different from last year or any Ramadan I've ever done in my life. Yeah, you will be grateful. Yeah, because Allah will reward you with gratitude bi'idhnillah. Now, the question I have for you all is, we've been talking for an hour now. Do you want to continue for another half an hour, 45 minutes, or do you want to come back next Wednesday and complete this? I don't like votes because they might. Well, best dua to ask for level 3 is just in your language, mixture of English, Urdu, Punjabi, it doesn't matter, right? It's about you behaving like a beggar and say, Yeah, Rab, I really want this. Please, please, help me. Please, we don't say, but we say help. Help me do this. Maha needs to go. Can we do this next Wednesday? So much for me saying this is going to be a one-off lecture. I'm so sorry about that. Is that fine with everybody, or would you rather go on? Because it's being recorded, I think. How does everyone feel about going on or coming back next week? Or are you going to be too busy? It's going to be very close to Ramadan. Let's see. Going on. Complete now. Today is better. Okay. Complete now. All right. Complete. More sisters want to complete. Okay, no problem. Inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Thank you. Jazakumullah khaira for your feedback. And we'll try and move on now. Point is, don't despair. You make these kind of du'as. Yeah. And it doesn't matter. It's Surah Fatiha. You're asking Allah for hidayah. Hidayah means you're asking Allah for tawfiq. And Allah knows exactly what you're thinking. Yeah. So even if your dua doesn't come out grammatically correct, yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is how you're behaving in front of Allah with your heart. Your heart is feeling poor. This is the most important thing. Yeah, Allah, I can't fast this Ramadan. I can't do anything this Ramadan unless you help me. I need you to help me. Yeah, so this kind of desperation. So we should use these concepts to inspire us to aim higher in our lives. That's the point. Let me just see if anybody's stuck outside the Zoom room. I'll repost. Okay. Here we go. Bismillah. Now, So the first level of fasting is what we're all familiar with. Yeah. The second level is the one we can all, bi'idhnillah, with the help of Allah, accomplish. So the reason why I'm going to go back, you need to go, it's okay, barakallah feek. So the reason we need to go back to number 2 is you can't get to number 3 unless you're already striving number 2. Okay, so now we'll talk a little bit more about number 2. Because the more you will implement the fast of the elite, there are more chances of you also at moments and for some time be fasting at the level of elite of the elite. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this is why Imam Al Ghazaali, he goes into some details of the fast of the elite. So he says, number 1, you will not see what displeases Allah. Okay. So if you want to think about Allah all day long, you need to do this first. See not what displeases Allah, which goes back to Zeenat's point about social media, detox from your phone. You have to be very careful what you're looking at during Ramadan. He said, a chaste regard, restraint from viewing anything that is blameworthy or reprehensible, or that distracts the heart and diverts it from the remembrance of Allah, great and glorious. So can you see how what you're going to look at is going to have an immediate impact on your heart and therefore the way you're thinking? How are you going to fast with your heart if you're looking at this nonsense? Right? So very important, you guard your eyes. Imam Al Ghazaali said that the first condition is, this is the first condition, you need to restrain the sight from looking at what is blameworthy and disliked. This is to control your gaze from looking at the prohibited, even what is makruh. So therefore, try to control your scrolling through social media if you can't give it up. Don't look into other people's business. That's also your eyes. Don't look into other people's business. Let people do what they're doing. It's not your business. It's not your business. Don't look at what they're eating, where they're going. Social media is all this, no? Looking at photos of the rich and famous, how is it going to help you in your life? How is it going to help you in your life? You need to limit your gaze. You control what you look at. Okay? You need to refrain your gaze from anything that may distract you from the remembrance of Allah. And then he quotes this hadith. Where is it? He quotes a couple of ahadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, a look, okay, and this look means the haram look. A look is a poisoned arrow of the devil's arrows. Yeah, shaitan will use this to corrupt your heart. The haram look. It's a poisoned arrow. Whoever leaves it for fear of Allah, He the Exalted grants him faith whose sweetness he finds in his heart. Immediate impact on your heart, good impact on your heart. If you have the urge, your nafs says, oh, let's have a look at this haram thing. But you at that point stop yourself and say, no, I'm not going to do that. The Prophet said, Allah will grant you iman whose sweetness you will find in your heart. Yeah, you'll taste the sweetness of iman in your heart. But this is from you controlling what you're looking at. Okay, another hadith, do I have it? No, I don't. No, it's not on the screen. A look is a poisoned arrow of the devil's arrows. Whoever leaves it out of fear of Allah, He will give him iman whose sweetness he finds in his heart as a substitute. So similar hadith. So we can see how similar this is to fasting. Yeah, controlling your gaze. Just as you would withhold yourself from food and water, you would withhold your sight from the haram look. So holding yourself, again, can you see the connection between fasting, restraining, and sabr? Because what is sabr? Sabr is you're restraining your nafs, yeah, from doing what it wants to do. So holding yourself, stopping yourself is a virtue in Islam which results in great spiritual gain, meaning you will not lose, you will only increase in what? In iman. So that's his point number 1, okay, about controlling your gaze. Number 2, he says, speak not, okay, guarding one's tongue. Now, the English translation is a bit funny, but I'll read it out anyway. He says, guarding one's tongue from twaddle, lying, backbiting, scandal-mongering, obscenity, rudeness, wrangling, controversy, making it observe silence, occupying it with remembrance of God, great and glorious is He, and with recitation of the Quran. This is the fasting of the tongue. Okay? Fasting of the tongue is you don't say anything displeasing to Allah. Okay? So he calls it the second condition is to withhold the tongue, right? from all haram speech, frivolous, lying, backbiting, bad language, harsh speech. People become horrible when they're fasting, doing opposite, screaming, shouting, and then saying, I'm fasting. La ilaha illallah. Speech that could create enmity, fighting, arguing, all examples. Okay, haram speech. And there's more, but we don't have time. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever believes in Allah in the last day, let him speak good or keep silent. Meaning, think about what you're speaking. You're saying, so can you again see how Ramadan can potentially change you? Because for 30 days, you are training not only what you're eating, right? But you're also training your eyes from not looking at the haram. You're also training your tongue from not saying anything which is displeasing to Allah. Yeah. So it's training ground for all these things. And you will feel the benefit. So what do we need to do? We need to, this Ramadan, preferably even today, we should start. Why delay it? We only have today actually. But the point is we need to learn how to stay quiet. The Prophet ﷺ commanded us to control our tongues in more than one hadith. We can have a course on sins of the tongue. Maybe we should. May Allah help us all. So somebody asked the Prophet ﷺ, what is salvation? And he replied, control your tongue, keep to your house and weep over your sins. Authentic hadith. So Sufyan al-Thawri, one of our big ulama of the past, he said backbiting corrupts the fast. It corrupts. Doesn't mean it will break your fast, but it means you're lessening the reward of your fast. Okay? You're corrupting your fast and you're losing out on the most important thing is you're damaging your iman. You're corrupting your heart. That's what's horrible. Prophet ﷺ said, fasting is a shield. So the fasting person should avoid obscene speech and should not behave foolishly and ignorantly. And if someone fights with him or insults him, he should tell him twice, I'm fasting. You should say, I'm fasting, 2 times. If somebody tries to provoke you, right, remind him, I am fasting. Okay? Anybody has any idea why do you say I am fasting 2 times? Want to know if anybody knows the answer. Why, yucky. I am fasting. Have you heard of this hadith before? If somebody is not nice, reply to them by saying, I am fasting. Why twice? Why don't you just say once, I'm fasting? Okay. Okay, so our scholars, some of our scholars have explained this hadith by saying the first time when you say, I am fasting, you're reminding the other person. Yeah, I am fasting. And the second one, or the other way around, you're reminding yourself rather, I am fasting. I shouldn't react. They're saying something which is really irritating me and upsetting me. I must not react. I am fasting. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is you're saying to the other person, by the way, I'm fasting. Okay. So you're telling yourself and you're telling the other person, reminding them it's a Ramadan. We should not be. We are fasting. Remember, we are fasting. So fasting, Islam Q&A says, does not mean just giving up food and drink. Rather, fasting means giving up idle speech, obscene conduct. If anyone insults you or treats you in an ignorant manner, then say, I am fasting, I am fasting. Okay. Number 3, Imam Al Ghazaali said, closing one's ears to everything reprehensible. For everything unlawful to utter is likewise unlawful to listen to. So you can't say, oh, she was backbiting. I wasn't saying anything. No, this is sin of your ears. Okay, it's not allowed. Anything which is haram to say, it's also haram to listen to. Okay, so you cannot use bad language and you're not allowed to listen to bad language. So this is why, and then he quotes Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 42, they eagerly listen to falsehood and consume forbidden gain. Yeah, so you cannot say, Imam Ibn Qayyim said, he said there are different ways through which you corrupt your heart. So he said your eyes, if you look at haram, immediate impact on the heart. You're corrupting your heart. You listen to something evil, immediate impact on the heart. Okay, so you can't say there's no harm to listening to music. No, there is harm. No harm listening to backbiting. I wasn't backbiting. No, you're corrupting your heart. Is it worth it? Right? Corrupting your heart, and what does that really mean? You're ruining your relationship with Allah. That's the worst thing, right? You're ruining your relationship with Allah. Okay, so don't listen. Somebody starts, hey, no, 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 please stop, please stop. It's Ramadan, please don't. But can you see how it's a training ground for you to change all of these behaviors in yourself? Okay. Then he says, oh, avoid overeating. Okay, so it's just not sin of the tongue, but also overeating. Not to overindulge in lawful food, halal food at the time of breaking fast to the point of um, filling one's belly. The spirit and secret nature of fasting is to weaken the forces, which are shaitan's means of leading us back to evil. It is therefore essential to cut down one's intake to what one would consume on a normal night, even when not fasting. So Imam Al Ghazaali is recommending eat less. No benefit is derived from the fast if one consumes as much as one would usually take during the day and night combined. I need to have all my calories, right? So he's saying no benefit is derived from this fast, which doesn't mean, okay, I can't stop eating, so therefore I shouldn't fast. No, it's fard on you to fast. You still have to fast, but try, yeah. Moreover, one of the proprieties consists in taking little sleep during the daytime so that one feels the hunger and thirst and becomes conscious of the weakening of one's power with the consequent purification of the heart. So Imam Al Ghazali is recommending that don't sleep during the day. Yeah, because some people do this, they flip their day and night during Ramadan, so they don't even feel any of the pain of fasting, and they wake up in the late afternoon, and then it's almost iftar time, eating their iftar, and then spending the night like it's the day. So what is this? Yeah, what is this? This is not good. Anyway, he's teaching us how to be from the second category. If you want to even get to the third category, you need to be trying to do all of these things. Then number 4, he says, keeping all other limbs and organs away from sin, the hands and the feet from reprehensible deeds, the stomach from questionable food at the time of breaking the fast. It is meaningless to fast to abstain from lawful food only to break one's fast on what is haram. Because that is like a man who fasts like this may be compared to one who builds a castle but demolishes a city. Subhanallah. And finally, fasting is a form of nusra, victory from Allah. Think about it. It's victory from Allah. It's a form of nusra. He says, if you bring, he's quoting a ayah from the Quran actually. If you help Allah, Allah will help you. Yeah. This is a concept in the Quran. If you help Allah, Allah will help you. So we learn from that, if you bring victory to Allah, Allah will bring victory to you. So if we want victory and change, then we have to be in this state of surrender to Allah through the fast, right? Remember what I said? It is your state of heart, how you approach Allah and say, oh Allah, I am this beggar. Yeah. So you initiate this action and Allah will help you. So something has to come from you. And then the help will be disproportionate. You can't even imagine how much Allah will help you. But you have to be the one initiating this. So you change yourself through fasting and Allah will change you. Yeah, because Allah says in the Quran that He will not change the condition of people until they change themselves. Some effort has to come from you. So think about it, how in Ramadan we normally change ourselves so much, isn't it? Even your lifestyle, you change it so much. You leave your morning coffee. Yeah. But the more mindful you are of what you're doing, the more help you'll get from Allah. This is the point that he's making over here. Meaning, if you say, oh Allah, for you, I'm giving up my morning coffee, I'm missing my morning coffee, but I'm withholding myself for you, you need to remember that this is going to lead to spiritual change inside of you. Yeah. So here, the Sheikh is mentioning that Allah is giving us a formula to change. You start, right? You start with yourself, right? You start with yourself and you will get the support of Allah. And this will be the means of you bringing change where? to the rest of your family, in your in-laws, in your community, in Palestine. It has to start with you. Change yourself, and Allah will facilitate change by His will, because He will look at your niyyah, why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. So, concluding remark, not Imam Al Ghazaali. Okay. So, the Muslim has to do what? Number one, submit to Allah in all his affairs. So, he's talking about reliance. And know that whatever happens to him could never have missed him, and whatever misses him could never have happened to him. And there's a lot more we can say on this topic, and we have not completed his chapter, okay, because there's a lot more to be said. But I think, inshallah, bidnillah, we have said enough. And I think I've given you a couple of points which are very important, which hopefully you will not forget. Yeah. And the last point, but not the least, is result. Don't forget the result. Yeah. The result is, who controls the result? Yeah. You. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You're going to give yourself taqwa? No. Okay. The result is in hands of the Allah. You need to try your best. You're relying on Allah. You need to try your best. And then just remember that the result is in the hands of Allah. And Allah deals with us in the most actually wonderful of ways, because He is Al-Kareem and Al-Rahim and your Rabb. And He's doing your tarbiyah. And Ramadan is this perfect opportunity for you to accept the tarbiyah of Allah and go up several notches, inshallah. Conclusion, this is my statement. Surah Al-Fatiha, right? Surah Al-Fatiha, why? Because you're begging Allah for guidance. And guidance includes tawfiq. So you ask Allah to grant you the ability to do what? To tread the path of anamta alayhim. And to protect you from the path of maghdubi alayhim waladdalin. Yeah, this is the formula. The ultimate dua for guidance mentioned right there in the beginning of the Quran for Q&A session. I don't think so. We've gone long enough. Jazakumullah khaira. Okay, my dear sisters and listeners, I hope that was fine. I'm going to stop the recording now. And if anybody has any comments or questions,